Hi everybody, welcome to the 10th episode of the Chicken Chess Club podcast, the show where we talk about everything in the chess world, and then Peter Heine campaigns for half an hour for FIDE Vice Presidency. It's gonna be a great show. My name is Gustafsson. I am joined by Laurent Fressinet, who is just finished playing the French league. How did it go?
French champion for the 14th time, so it did go very well. We do the match against Heine. That was the last match and the last struggle. We had draw odds, but we were considered. We were weaker in every board basically, except the woman board. So I guess the average rating was like, I don't know. It was much better for them, and we made a draw. I do MVL as black, so life of a chicken is great when you do such players as black. It's not easy.
Ugh, you look a little too happy for my taste. Peter, how are you doing?
Well, I can look less happy if you prefer. So
Excellent.
I actually had a great week. I was at the Charlotte Chess Center, which is just impressive. It was like a camp with 60 people doing chess for 3 days. I was there with Olga Topalov and Naroditsky, who was doing the teaching, and then the sort of Charlotte Chess Center team, who was taking care of everything practical. So, and that was really great, and the first time maybe in 10 years that I was doing sort of group teaching, and it was fun to be with people who are so interested in chess. But I promised you something negative. Sorry for the good words here. So I can say that my traveling back was truly horrendous. Basically, I'm just back after 30 hours of traveling. It was, I was supposed to land in Brussels and then take a direct plane to Vilnius shortly after, but we exactly missed it. And due to the Brussels airport being on strike today, they had to get rid of everybody yesterday. So they found me a 12-hour detour where I first had to go to London, then to Copenhagen, and then to Vilnius, and then I missed that plane for some kind of confusion. So instead I had to wait 8 hours in Brussels airport, then fly to Copenhagen. The plane was delayed, so I just managed the thing to Vilnius, and I was here about midnight, sort of more than 12 hours later than I was supposed to do and such. And of course, the first suitcase, which was supposed to ride in Charlotte, seems gone. And the reserve suitcase I bought to bring back the stuff from Charlotte is also gone now. So I have 2 pending cases of lost luggage at the moment. So I hope that makes you feel a bit better at least.
So sorry for your troubles, and I think it's important you share this, because people only see the 5-star hotels, the celebrations and exclusive nightclubs, but they don't see the traveling, the behind-the-scenes stuff, that you're a person too, and sometimes you have to go through hard times. So yeah. It's very much appreciated.
What did you do during your spare time? Did you spend time campaigning or tweeting?
I don't think there is much spare time, to be honest. Lesson starts, let's say, we have lessons from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock. But I have jet lag, and I don't really have any kind of sort of ready-made material for lessons either. So I would typically go up in the morning and prepare some lessons, and then there will also be some kind of evening activities, and we will go out evening, everybody together and such. So, it would more be like, you do your 1.5 hour lesson. In the break, you go and make a couple of FIDE tweets and look at the replies, and then you go and do lessons again, and so on and so forth, right? So, you have to catch these things on the fly, which is kind of
amazing life.
Are you worried while you're giving the lesson that you might have missed a tweet that you could have a snarky reply to?
No, of course I am. And I think sort of a more experienced teacher/campaigner would do more exercise-based stuff, so you actually have time to check your computer. But I'm more sort of lecture-based. For instance, the first lesson, I basically just showed three of Magnus's win from Stavanger and such. So no, I understand it's given me a campaign disadvantage, but I'll have to make up for it with the intensity at times.
So how about you, Jan? You are commentating the first few rounds. You will commentate all of them, right?
Yeah. No, the candidates tournament has started in Madrid in Spain, the tournament that will potentially determine Magnus's next challenger, or will determine the next 2 participants in the World Championship match. Of course, we did an expert preview on it. I was in commentary the first 3 rounds. It's fun to have the candidates back. Like, the stakes feel higher, especially the first 2 rounds. I'm sure we'll talk about it in more detail. There was a lot of fights, a lot of opening surprises, so I enjoyed that part. Personally, I'm barely hanging in there as usual. I felt very tired after Norway chess, and the candidates are rough. It's like 7 hours. I'm commentating, or it's probably exaggerating, but like it's been like 6.5 hours. I think the first 2 days I'm commentating with the great Judith Polgar, who happens to be good and interested in chess. So it's a lot of chess variations, and in order not to embarrass myself, I have to pay attention. So it's completely crushing me, but it's also interesting. Like I quite enjoyed the chess part.
I will start commentating tomorrow in French. So no
Finally.
So,
Finally.
I mean, while I am using this show to sort of use a bit of political campaigning, you guys are actually advertising your commercial products now.
Yeah, exactly. And you should talk closer to your mic to make sure that you advertise your microphone as well. So yeah. That's what we do. No shame on this show. We just advertise our own stuff. I mean, you showed the way.
Thank you. Anyway, to the top.
Shall we talk candidates?
Yeah, we will talk candidates.
I predicted Ding to win. He's not doing me any favors so far. In the first round, the highest rated player, Ding Liren, lost to World Championship finalist Ian Nepomniatchtchi. Ding with the white pieces, and I checked the game. I analyzed it on my YouTube channel, Janistan TV, where you can subscribe if you understand German. It's a great analysis. And Ding made a lot of mistakes, quite uncharacteristically, I would say. Like, every move you could criticize pretty much. He got a better position out of the opening. I think he surprised Nepomniatchtchi a little bit. Nepomniatchtchi started bluffing, sacrificed a pawn, which I'm not so sure really worked. Ding didn't take it. And then, just played some very slow passive maneuvers. Knight a4, knight takes b2, queen d2. And he seemed out of it. Like, it was a really weak game for his standards. I don't know what's happening. Did he arrive late? Jet lag? Nerves?
Yeah, exactly.
Stress?
I mean, like, my colleagues in French League, like, they kind of told me that, they thought that simply Ding didn't travel for the last 2 years, for the last couple of years. So this jet lag, this travel could be really tough. And I think they have a point. I mean, I didn't take that into account in our preview. I mean, nobody did, actually. We didn't. So, I feel they have a point. I mean, like, Ding didn't travel, so jet lag and so on. You get... you have to get into the mood, I mean, and the right shape. And it seems that this game was really something.
No, the game for his standards was really bad. Like, credit to Nepomniatchtchi, who played nicely and patiently and crushed him. But Ding made so many mistakes.
Even in online games, in Rapid, he's playing better than that. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was really poor from him.
Also, what I don't understand, I'm sure there are reasons, but if you have the candidates, which by far is the most important tournament for the last 2 years, why don't you go a week early? Like, get used to it. Make sure you're not jet lagged. You're used to the temperature, the weather, and so on. Like, when I play Thailand Open, I always go at least a week early because I'm a professional.
Yeah, even when we are working for Magnus, we always go and check if everything is...
Yeah, we really had to check the location was accepted for a long time.
Peter.
But I was serious about the first part. Why does he travel like a day before it starts?
Yeah.
Or 2 days.
Yeah, this is a mistake, that's for sure. Peter, your expert opinion.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure if how much was preparation for Nepom. I thought even maybe the pawn sacrifice could be, this was the c4, e5, g3 line of the English, and it was exactly what Giri played against Grishuk in the candidates in 2020. So I thought it was a rather topical line to some extent. And I wasn't sure if the pawn sacrifice was not prepped, but I haven't had time to check it due to, traveling, as we spoke of. Then also...
I wondered that too. Sorry, just to weigh in on that. I wondered that too, but I really doubted. The timing didn't look like it. Like, he spent half an hour for rook e8, knight g4, and the moves also really don't work. It's not like there is some hidden traps or anything. It just doesn't work like with the computer. So it would be a strange preparation.
Then if someone here is going to read my newspaper column, which you can get in the Danish newspaper, Weekendavisen, if you buy that, well, we'll be apologized for my apparently wrong comments. But that could be, well, I thought it was strange that he didn't play this move b5 and open up the queen side, for instance. I was looking at the game live with the students in Charlotte, and I thought b5 would have been promising. But I thought even after he played...
So knight a4, yeah, like he had a couple.
But even after knight a4, it was quite interesting. The computer strongly suggested not to take on b2, which he did. And I think if he takes back with the queen, he's still quite better in a way.
Yeah. No, but you can criticize every move. Knight a4 is wrong. Knight takes b2 is wrong. Queen d2 is very wrong. Like, there were so many mistakes.
It is maybe a difficult
Knight a5 is wrong.
structure.
Knight takes b7
this sort of
wrong.
d takes e3 pawn structure is kind of weird in a way. I think Nepom played it nicely. He managed to get the system with a sort of structure with a knight on d5 blocking counterplay, and then was killing him on the king side. But no, I quite agree that it was a pretty bad game for Ding. And well, I think to some extent I hope for Ding. I just like well, I like all of them, but well, Ding, for some reason I would like him to do well because he's such a good chess player. And so far he didn't. So that was, of course, I mean, a rough start. And while online I claimed that I was the one taking Caruana in the show, which I kind of did. Of course, I also mentioned that I thought Ding was a little bit bigger favorite than Caruana. So I agree this is a huge surprise. And well, it still has to be sort of seen if, I mean, Ding will go sort of over in history as someone who doesn't really succeed when it really matters, right? I mean, we saw the previous candidates where he was one of the favorites. He simply lost the 2 first games. Now he started with only losing the first one, but even so. So still a long tournament, only 1 point behind. He was close to winning later, as we might speak of and such. So it's not a conclusion yet, but the risk
it reminds, of course, of Aronian, who was so close so many times and basically he deserved at some point a match. I mean, like he deserved to be a challenger. I mean, according to his career.
One would expect that based on strength, yes, but he was never really like one move from it or anything like that, right?
Yeah, I think I don't see. I mean, it seems to be okay. It's only his first 3 rounds, but still, it tells quite a lot, about the shape of everyone.
Yeah, also the third game where he got just a winning position against Rapport. Like the lines weren't easy, but after I'm sure people know all the games by heart. Later on, after king f1, knight takes e2, he has a chance to take a rook on d8 or to recapture. And when he recaptures, okay, it's nothing special. He's a little better. Well, if he takes a rook on d8, it's winning. Like, it's complicated lines, but it's obviously a very key moment. And you would think Ding in top shape would spot that. Like, there were some tricks, but Judith spotted them quite quickly on the show. So yeah, he doesn't seem in his best shape. I don't know if it's nerves or tiredness, but it doesn't look good for Ding. Yeah. Let's move on to Fabi. It looks good for Fabi, doesn't it? Yeah. I've been so impressed. Like, the first game he beat Nakamura. I guess he had some nice preparation and some sideline of the Berlin, but he was on his own quickly. Nakamura took, probably a calculated decision to make 2 more or less random moves, queen e7, knight a5, and then rook b8. And white looked a bit better, but I'm not sure if Fabi did everything right. Then the position was sort of balanced or even slightly pleasant for black until Nakamura castled kingside. But then Fabi did punish him nicely and very precisely. So he won the first game. And the second game, as a theory nerd and someone who studied the Italian quite a bit, I had never seen that idea, this h6, g5 and knight g4 in that position. And it looked like typical Fabi stuff that was backed up by so many concrete lines and tricky stuff. Opening-wise, I was very impressed.
Can I disagree with both conclusions? Shall we go to the first one first, or no?
Yeah.
Please go disagree.
Yeah. No, the first one, well, I even in the car discussed with going to the playing sort of teaching center. I was discussing the game with Topalov, and we thought that white was just quite better after this move d4 in the opening. But the computers didn't seem to think it that much, at least. And I actually thought what Nakamura did was quite reasonable up to a point. And if anything, he could even have been slightly better. But I think the move castling was just horrible sense of king safety. That he should play.
But that's exactly what I said. You're repeating it. Where's the disagreement?
No, I don't think that Caruana played particularly well, and I don't think that Nakamura played that badly in the opening. I would say. Well, I
agree.
I don't think White was better actually. That was not my impression in a way, and so I think that but I think Nakamura played this kind of horrible move, and then of course he had some kind of advantage and managed to win it. I thought that objectively it was drawn, but probably practically speaking, it was huge chances. So I don't know. Maybe.
No,
maybe
I think.
Yeah.
I disagree. Okay. I disagree with you, Peter.
Wow, more disagreement.
No, I mean it was a good fighting game, of course. I mean, like maybe he didn't get. Yeah, he had some idea in the opening. I'm very much impressed. Okay, yesterday was strange feeling because he plays non-line in the night off and gets to nowhere. Nothing new. I mean, like everything was already played a few times. So, but he looks sharp, well prepared, except for yesterday. And this is the best of Fabi for at least for the first 2 rounds. I mean, you could, I understand against Nakamura he didn't get anything, but then when Nakamura made a mistake, then he punished it. So I agree with Jan. I mean, it's good for. Looking good for Fabi. Peter Heine Nielsen has something to say. Please, Peter.
Yes, about the second game. I remember I spoke with Topalov about that when I was about to leave from Charlotte. He said that, he was trying to check the opening, and he thought that after, I think, a move d4, White was close to winning. And I was telling him that most likely, that sounded unlikely, because, maybe it was like Caruana-style prep for... Like he had
get a better engine, Vaseline.
I
also checked.
Yeah,
it's not so simple.
But I thought that Caruana himself has said, I don't know where, but I saw him quoted for saying that what he played was borderlining losing, but he thought that in a practical game he wouldn't play d4. I haven't checked it.
I don't think he mentioned d4 specifically.
No, but
he did say that the line is.
But I think that d4 must be. I haven't checked it, but I'm just curious if it actually was bluffing heavily or not really, or if it's just trying to create that image.
I thought it was a good calculated risk. The lines aren't easy after d4 either. It's a mess, and you could see in the game, like way down the stretch, he's still blitzing, and he's exactly into details. This is what Fabi does. He finds some very sharp lines, even with black, and analyzes them incredibly deeply. And he manages to surprise, which in the Gioco Pianissimo, which everybody's played a million times now, to not only surprise, but also to get a sharp, messy position. I was very impressed.
Two first game, I has also been impressed with sort of a mix of preparation and practical skills. That game was maybe a bit of disappointment, but also, Duda seemed to catch him somewhat unaware. I mean, playing the
the Najdorf surprised him, no? Clearly he didn't.
Yeah, but you must have a prep against Najdorf when you're playing the candidates.
Where you're playing a World Championship match against someone who mainly plays the Najdorf?
Yeah.
Yeah, Najdorf, yeah. Good one, but please don't give away secrets at the show.
That's not already.
You can stop that. But yeah, sorry, you got me off there. But normally he plays Bishop G5, right? But somehow I can't imagine he rehearsed sharp Najdorf lines before that, before the Duda game. So, that was one has to give quite some respect for Duda there. But having tried to disagree with you guys, I will still say that Caruana, of course, is the one. Who looks most confident in the first 3 rounds at least, or maybe Nepomniatchtchi. We'll debate that.
Yeah, he's looked strong to me, but yeah, third round was a little weaker.
Well, you can say he was realistic. He slowed down and didn't really get into serious trouble. Although at some point it looked like he was going Duda's way, right?
Yeah, but even there, I thought he did very well bailing out. He was precise, holding the draw from an unpleasant position and so on.
Exactly. I thought there he was very practical and realistic, which of course is very important.
So let's talk about my boy.
All right.
My boy.
How's Richie doing?
Richie is not. I mean, his openings are not really impressive, no? I mean, to put it mildly, it was a disaster in all. No, against the second game was fine. Against Ali Reza, who is actually my boy. Yeah, Ricci, well, he didn't prepare, no?
No, the first game, like,
Yeah.
it's 1 e4, c5, knight f3, e6, d4, cd, knight d4, knight c6, bishop f4, which I think is the first or second move the computer shows, and it is also what Rapport himself played against Nepomniatchtchi a year ago, and he's completely lost after 9 moves.
Yeah,
like, that just can't happen.
Again, I will quote Topalov. Topalov thought also he was completely busted, but then I told him that the computer says it's not that bad. And then Topalov started thinking that after c5, d5, bishop e5, rook g8, maybe it's not so hopeless in a way.
Okay, it's plus 150, like, I don't know how you define completely lost, but...
Well, again, me and Topalov, the strongest engine we had was my mobile phone, so apparently you guys have something more powerful. Well, I agree with you. That was just weird. I mean,
Yeah.
And also, like, just chess-wise, even if you've never seen the position before, there to play g6, it's really asking to get punished by c5, no? So he had a slow time in the opening, but he survived. He made 3 draws out of 3 bad positions with black. Maybe he can pick it up from here.
well, Rapport, in this game, I think Rapport started outplaying him in the sense that, well, his position just became much less worse and worse. It's not like he was getting better, but it seems like he was outplaying him in terms of just improving things for himself all the time, right? So, I mean, if you sort of exclude the first 10 moves, he actually played a pretty nice game, I thought.
Yeah, agreed.
A bit the same for Alireza. I mean, like, who suffered in a couple of games. He was even completely lost against Ricci. But it's good. I think it's not a bad start for Alireza. He got 2 blacks, and it's good emotions when you are saving games. Yesterday was a bit unlucky because it doesn't look... I don't know what you guys think, but, I mean, this final position with pawn g6, h7, I mean, it's just a draw by miracle for black. I mean...
Yesterday's game was, or yesterday at the time of recording, the round 3 game where Alireza was white against Nakamura.
Some nice
there's a lot to say about that game, no? Because I also think it shows Nakamura's weaknesses and strength in the same game beautifully. So Alireza plays this, what we call semi-bluff, in a line of the queen c2 Nimzo, where against Nakamura you will get that position on the board. No, he always plays that system with castles, a3 takes, d5, knight f3, bishop g5, dc4. Like bishop g5, c5 is a good move. But Alireza, I think, knew that dc4, b6, h6, queen e7, rook d8 was happened because Nakamura, does that and he sticks to his guns. Then he's surprised by this try queen c2, which, I don't know, I would guess Peter was also aware of that try. And he has to bail out in a slightly worse endgame, or he decides to bail out into a slightly worse endgame. Was in trouble. But then I was incredibly impressed with rook f8, and I think he calculated like 15 only moves ahead there to hold a position that still looks lost, and he more or less blitzed them out. So his defensive skills, his calculating ability are just insane. I don't think I've seen anything like that. I mean, people holding such a position, yes, but how he blitzed out all the moves afterwards, just being sure it's a draw when it really looks like it's lost. I was very impressed.
Yeah, again, he's very... I mean, you have a very good point. I mean, like, he's incredibly concrete player, and I mean, we would all feel that we are lost and would stop calculate that line. I mean, simply.
No, we would try to calculate it, but we wouldn't manage. Because this position that he got even later after c3, which was move 41, and I would think, okay, he's gonna think an hour now, and maybe he will find c3, and that it's sort of a miracle fortress. But he played it within 2 seconds, c3, like just blitzed it out, and it's a very strange fortress because it's very much move by move. Exactly when the king goes to e1, then you have b4 only move making a draw, and if the king goes to you're just in time to play e5 knight f4. It's very, very concrete, and to spot that so quickly. I mean, Alireza thought for a long time. Maybe he had time to also make sure what he had in mind was working. But the general idea to go for this, to allow h7, g6 and hold like that. I mean, it's a bad position. If Alireza doesn't take on f8 but plays rook h1 or rook c1, I think Alireza is still a favorite to win. But it was still impressive stuff.
Yeah.
Peter, what did Vesely say about the game in the car?
I think at that point I was traveling, unfortunately. So no, we sort of parted in Charlotte Airport at the Starbucks cafe after he bought me a drink. So I think no, I only have insights from Vesely in the first 2 rounds. The third one will have to be mine, and I generally agree that you see the good and bad sides of Nakamura. For Nakamura fans, I would say I'm afraid that his good sides are not enough to win the event. But generally, I mean, he has impressed in many ways so far. But also he didn't impress against Caruana and such. But of course, I mean, if he starts picking up some more wins, why not in a way? I agree with you that it seemed very, very impressive. And if openings doesn't become a huge factor, of course... you might actually.
Of course, it is a huge factor.
Yep.
Like, I mean, even that line was, as a theory nerd, it was upsetting that this Queen C2 semi bluff in the line he always plays gets him in trouble.
But maybe he has sort of I mean, he had black against Caruana and Firouzja already. Maybe that's where he will be hit the most. You can argue in this tournament with black. So having sort of skipped these and still being on 50%. Maybe actually there is hope for him to move forward.
Yeah, no, it's a good.
You can argue.
It's a good start. Yeah, he beat Rajabov in the second round. Lost the first one to Caruana, so 50%.
That Rajabov game, by the way, also from an opening nerd perspective, I was very surprised that Rajabov, who plays the Berlin every game, they doesn't blitz out this move D5 after Queen H5. He doesn't know it and gets into trouble there because it's a line that's been played in Nepomniatchtchi Aronian before, and the computers instantly yell D5000.
I think
Anish, of course, instantly went on record saying since he was 6 years old, he's known about this D5 push. Like, I was, Rajabov.
Yeah, but you are giving away. You are putting everything on gay, but you are giving away so much. I can see Peter.
I'm sharing some actual chess knowledge. Apologies.
I wanted to say that
anyone who has an engine can switch it on.
When Anis wants to insult someone, he doesn't say he knows it. At some point, he was wanting to diss Magnus's prep, but made by me. He said that, well, this move even his wife knew about. So I think that Anis knows it is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but anyway, I think overall for Nakamura, I've been impressed with his level, but preparation, he didn't come with anything new, and it's gonna be a question if it's gonna be enough. Will be very interesting to follow.
Yeah, of course. And we didn't talk about Nepomniatchtchi, but Rajabov just gave up already. I mean, like, we never believed in his chances, and it seems that it doesn't as well. I mean, like...
Well, you're forced to draw with white against Nepomniatchtchi. That's not exactly
what you want to do if you're fighting. Yeah, you're on -1, so... well, that will be... He will try to do as close as possible to 50%, but it seems it's his only goal.
No, it's a bit what we predicted before. He will try very hard not to lose every single game, but he's not going to go for the tournament victory.
And so what do we
also his black openings are just in trouble, no? Like,
yeah.
He was lost twice in Norway chess out of the opening, and now against Nakamura he was at least much worse in lines that were pretty well known. So
and against Firouzja, actually he acted very, very well. But he was surprised again in the opening.
He was also ambushed,
He was like 1 hour down on the clock. Then he played incredibly well, and even for Aliaza it was not an easy save. But he did it.
No one's questioning he's good at chess, but he hasn't. He has looked a bit out of it.
So how about Nepo? So Nepo won the first games and a couple of draws. This exciting game against Caruana. He got caught in the opening, so I guess a draw as white is okay. It's completely fine because he was worse as well. So even
I thought he played well there. Like, he was worse, but he kept making tricky decisions reasonably quickly without giving Fabi any easy spots, and he made a lot of not obvious moves like King H2, Queen D1, where the forced lines could have actually gotten him in more trouble. So, although of course you don't want to be worse with white, even in the fine position, he's worse after Rook takes B2. Overall, I thought he played a good game and he looks in good shape.
Yeah.
But also the verdict on him that if things go well, he's an amazing player. But if the tournament gets longer and he loses the game, then the question will be how he reacts. But so far, he looks excellent.
I thought that the first 2 games against the 2 rating favorites, or the two top favorites based on us, he played with a lot of confidence, which is impressive, right? I mean, he was obviously playing for a win in both games. And against Caruana, well, maybe he was caught in the opening, but he still ensured that they were playing for free results. He tried to put pressure and made it uncomfortable for Caruana, right? So he strikes me as someone who actually still has a lot of confidence. It's not like he seems overly shaken due to the match. He plays positive chess, and he don't seem to think he's a worse chess player than Caruana and Ding, and that means he should play with caution or something like that. So while we didn't think highly of his chances, at least his own evaluation seems to be that he has serious chances, and he seems to be trying to. Well, he's playing to win the event most obviously. He's not just trying to make a good result.
Yeah, but first of all, well, I don't think we thought so badly of his chances, but we rated his chances below Fabi, Ding's, and Ali Reza's, with Ali Reza more of a question mark. But I do think the main knock is still that in long tournaments, if he loses a game, his bounce back ability hasn't been so great, and that remains to be seen. Other than that, he looks very, very good. But he looked very, very good in the first 6 games of the match against Magnus as well. So
I will say that he got good pairings. That sounds rather insane, based that it's a double round all play all. But he gets to play, Ding and Caruana in the first round. So he will play them in round 8 and 9, where he still might not be sort of collapsing in a way, and then he will have the supposedly weaker part of the field for the remaining rounds. It's,
It's good.
It could. I think it's good for him. No doubt about it. It's not like it's a decisive factor, but of course it's helpful, I think.
Yeah. So, good point. And so the last one.
Who else is there? Duda, 3 draws. He looks fine. Neutralized Fabi easily with the black pieces.
He'll
be upset he didn't beat Rapport in that game.
But maybe first game you don't expect such a present from the opening, and he was a bit let's say he was not ambitious enough in the opening. I mean, he should just crush the guy. Yeah, for instance, why to change queens? I mean, like
no, but even there, if he's thought for a bit, Rook takes D1 instead of Bishop takes D1, and White just wins. Bishop A2, Knight B5, and that's not a complicated tactic for him. I think it's a bit of nerves in the first round too, like having such a position. But that one he'll be upset about. Other than that, looks like he's well prepared. Looks like he's sharp. I liked him playing the Najdorf, first of all, because it came as a surprise, and secondly, because it spices up things a little more than looking at what Fabi has in store against the Petrov or the Marshall that Fabi probably expected mainly. So I think he's thought about what to do against whom and how to prepare. He looked good. It's unclear if that missing half point or the missing start will hurt him, but so far I thought he played a good tournament.
Yeah, also, I mean, well, I think many didn't rate his chances highly. I forgot if it was someone who spoke about it. Magnus spoke about it publicly, right? But at least Duda himself seems to rate his. I mean, he's playing like someone who wants to figure out if he actually has a chance to win it, right? I mean, he's playing quite positive chess.
Yeah. No, it will be anyway. It will be just fantastic to follow the next few days, and incredibly exciting.
If you understand French, they can even do it on with your commentary.
Yeah. Even if you don't, you can come and check the errors, like making a lot of errors. But it's better if you speak French, too. Good point. Thank you. So, what's next?
Any other candidates' observations? Peter's been traveling here. He's missed most of it. Laurent's been playing chess.
Not exactly.
So you couldn't really follow much.
I was sitting in Brussels airport during the round yesterday, so.
But I saw one of your tweet about the dress code. So
we can speak about the dress code if you want.
You supported.
What's the story with the dress code? What do you know exactly what it says in the dress code? Like, I think I've seen it somewhere, but I can't quite remember. It's like a unicolor jacket and a unicolor shirt, no? And probably jeans aren't allowed, no? So it's probably pants corresponding to it. I don't know if sneakers are allowed. I really want to wear sneakers. Like, I really want sneakers to be allowed in the dress code. Like, I think dress shoes
wouldn't think so.
are outdated. They're so uncomfortable, but I would think those are still part of the deal.
Yeah.
But what was the controversy? I saw Nakamura tweeted about it, that he had to, some back and forth, that he got some criticism for violating it. I can't actually remember what he was wearing. Peter, you know all about dress codes.
Yeah, of course I know about dress codes, but this one I actually haven't read and such. But in general, well, I think dress code is fine for absolutely top events, but it also has to be within reason and sort of make sense. Also, for let's say, well, for dress code to matter. For instance, I remember I played the European Championship. Maybe it was even 15 years ago. And, well, the dress code was no shorts, for instance, which is generally quite reasonable. But the playing hall was absurdly warm. So I think even my good buddy, Emil Sitovsky, and me, we were complaining about that. Well, I mean, there has to be an acceptable temperature within the playing hall to enforce some kind of dress code and such. So things has to go together. But what I really dislike is also that, I mean, the dress code or the lack of people's appearance will sometimes be used as a sort of pretext to insinuate that, well, how are we going to get sponsors like this? And I don't think it's a problem at all. I think
wow, that's a beautiful transition to we need to get rid of Russian influence from the dress code. You got there instantly.
No, but what I'm saying is that I think that they all appear very professionally and such. I mean, when you look at pictures about Nakamura, why would it bother you the slightest? And I think that in the
he was wearing jeans.
He was wearing
you're not
jeans.
supposed to wear jeans.
And okay, no, it's not okay. I'm
fine
sorry.
With jeans, but
I'm not
it
fine.
has to,
But I think also that
it has to be.
In previous events in the cycle and such, they haven't taken it very careful, sort of very much to the letter, as long as people are appearing fine in a way. I mean, to me it seems
So who judges who appears fine? It will be the appeals committee headed by Laurent Fressinet, who's been partying all night.
I think it's the FIDE supervisor of the event, actually.
Who is the FIDE supervisor of the event?
That I don't know if that's transparent.
You don't know?
He gets to decide who looks fine and who doesn't. Like,
no, you should have.
I don't know. I think the dress code might be antiquated. I would think it's okay if jeans and especially white sneakers were allowed. But in general, I think it's fine to request some standards from the players, and I don't think it's the same in a big open tournament. Like last time we had this controversy was the European Team Championship with amateurs and a beach tournament and so on. This is the candidate. It's 8 players fighting for the World Championship title. We could argue about if it has to be jeans or other pants and sneakers or no sneakers, but other than that,
the big controversy was in the World Cup, right, with the shorts incident and as my players. Really, I forgot who was it. Was it? I forgot. Was it Korobov?
No, not Korobov.
No.
Kovalyov.
Kovalyov,
yeah, and the Canadian Kovalyov.
There was a big debate about that, and well, I can understand it, but also I think it's a minor problem in a way. I mean, well, for instance, I would like to see someone giving the same attention to just randomly mentioning electoral rules.
Wow, whataboutism.
No, not what
Peter
about
Heine Nielsen.
No, it's not what about. No,
not about the dress code. Who would have thought?
No, I'm trying to point out that it seems very selective when you decide to choose to care about the exact lettering of a rule, and then in other places you don't give a damn if rules are followed. And such.
That's the definition of whataboutism.
No, I think there should be general standards then, that you cannot have someone in power who just says, no, this is actually very important.
Where are the rules not followed by the players and FIDE lets it slide?
Yeah, but, well, in general, I think that, I mean, dress code should, I think it was fine before, basically having something more general that, well, you know, you have to appear acceptable and such, and having it written down to some extent is fine.
So under your leadership, it would be you have to appear acceptable and such, and the FIDE supervisor will decide if you look okay.
I don't know, to be honest. I haven't cared a lot about dress code. I think I generally think that dress code is not on the top of list of the problems that we should solve in FIDE, and the same here. I mean, well, for instance, if they are saying that players don't have to appear at the press conference because we don't want to bother them, I think that's a bigger problem, because it would be nice to have comments from the press when they actually I think obviously look completely okay. Why bother them? I mean, well, for instance, if Nakamura is actually upset about it and starts replying to it, well, I think it's unnecessary to disturb him like that. It's much more of disturbance than telling him to actually come to a press conference. I think it's just stupid.
Yeah, disagree on the dress code part. Like, I think it matters that there is some standards there. I don't know the exact
Of course, I think
wording.
the same. I mean,
but
No, but I mean, come on. I mean, like
agree on the press conference
so
part.
they cannot wear jeans. So Naka is wearing jeans. Then they tell him something that he cannot wear jeans, and he's complaining that they are telling him. I mean, okay, please. I mean, he should behave a bit, or read the contract before he signs it. I mean, that's as simple as that. I mean,
yeah.
come on. How can you?
I don't know the exact details in that sense, but well, sure. We can disagree on that. It's fine enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to keep going on about it. Laurent, you are a man who appreciates proper clothing. You like to wear a nice suit. How do you feel about dress codes?
No, I feel that it's important. I mean, you should. I mean, I prefer when I'm watching some show. I prefer if the guy is well dressed and in a short or t-shirt, or I mean, like it feels. I mean, not crucial. I agree with Peter. I mean, it's not. I understand. He's a candidate to become a FIDE deputy president. And of course, it's not on the top of the list of the problems we have, but I think it's normal. You have some minimum standard, and I don't see anything wrong. And complaining about it afterwards, I mean, it's a bit just weird.
Yeah, I guess his argument would be that they haven't complained about it earlier in the same cycle and such, and that they start doing it now is
because candidates is bigger than Grand Prix.
It's the biggest stage, and that's a strange argument. No, that was okay earlier, even though it was not supposed to be like that. I think we need a Solomonic solution. We change the dress code slightly. Jeans are acceptable. White sneakers are acceptable. Then wear a jacket and a shirt. Of course, you can take off the jacket during the game. And everybody's happy. Yeah. I will decide which sneakers are acceptable. I'm the sneakers correspondent. I think that's important. You can't wear any sneakers, but in general nowadays, we need white sneakers. That's very important to me.
So if Peter wins FIDE election, you will be in the sneaker commission.
I will be the sneakers appeals committee.
Sorry. We are not going to make any deals about this, but we are promising that everybody will get the chance to sort of apply. So, I mean, you will be able to present your quality.
I have a huge sneakers collection.
Exactly.
I have books on the topic.
I guess.
But you should
take. So, in general, just to wrap it up. Excellent. Just to wrap it up, Peter, you think that clothing should be transparent?
Okay. No way you're going to get me on record to say that. I think, well, I mainly think that...
That was just a dumb joke.
Yeah, that we don't have a problem. And, I mean, we have so many other problems. I mean, the players are representing the game very well, in my opinion. They are nicely dressed. I don't see any problem.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, I'm already applying for the next appeal committee of FIDE candidates 2024. Okay.
I don't remember you have any kind of juridical sort of skills, nor
it's
have
okay.
even taken an arbiter course. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Come on. Now you're going to make us do arbiter courses because we don't know enough about the rules of chess?
Yeah.
Please. Like, how much are you making on these arbiter courses that you'll make us take?
That is
transparency.
That is the current administration. I mean, actually, I think they take sort of, in my opinion, some fees that are quite higher than the actual cost and such. And this is, I've been complaining about even before the previous thing that I think...
Who in the business world or in anywhere in the world takes a fee that's higher than the actual cost? Are they trying to make a profit, not a loss?
No, but FIDE should not be run as a business with its members being seen as the customers. That's my point. They should, we should try and attract outside sponsorship, but of course that's very difficult when the leadership is connected to the Kremlin. But that's going to be
I served you that.
Yeah, that was
going to be different.
That was way too easy for Peter.
Nielsen.
That was a smash.
Hammer has COVID. Poor Hammer. He was on site in Madrid as part of a commentary team. And what's happening now? He's quarantining in a hotel room Did he go back home? What do you do when you get COVID in a foreign country? Like you isolate there until you test negative, right?
Yeah.
That's what Nakamura did, yeah?
I think so. I'm not sure. I think the rules have eased up by now, probably, or at least I didn't have to show any COVID test during my recent air travels, or
Well,
I'm not sure. but
I had to, and for the US, you still have to COVID test. And I went for a walk with Hammer and then was tested the next day. So maybe I got lucky. I don't know. But he didn't manage to infect me. Maybe outside it's
Yeah.
safer to.
He didn't manage to infect me.
Yeah. So
do you think, what are the rules there? Are they testing the players? What happens if a player tests positive, or are they no longer have to test them and they just hope it goes well?
Yeah,
I
no,
thought
they're
they
not testing.
wrote somewhere that they have tested people and everybody was negative, but I forgot that. I might refer to a random tweet.
Yeah, but it's very tricky. We had the case in French league. Someone was coughing heavily, and you don't have to wear the mask. I mean, it's a very tricky situation. So some guy just tilted and started to to shout in the playing hall like, okay, I asked like 30 minutes ago he asked to the referee 30 minutes ago, and the referee was just contemplating the situation. When someone is coughing, I mean, you cannot force people to wear the mask. I mean, it's just very strange situation actually. I mean, you have to trust people responsibility. I mean, sense of responsibility, and isolate themselves. That's it.
But if you're a player and you start coughing during the candidates tournament, do you say, okay, let me get a COVID test, I want to get out of here? I mean, usually if you're not forced to, you try to continue the tournament. No, it's a very tricky spot.
Yeah.
But I would guess that's what most people would think. Not sure, actually. It's just a strange situation with people on site testing positive. Let's hope.
Yeah, I would
tournament
assume.
goes on as planned.
I would assume there is rules about it. It would be strange if there was not rules about it based on the previous candidates' turn.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but it's a different situation. No, the regulations inside the European Union at least have eased up a lot regarding COVID since. So, not sure.
So let's move on to Prague. I didn't follow too much, so
I didn't follow it all either. I just see in our notes here, because we have notes, that Hare Krishna won the Masters, and Vincent Keimer, the talented young German player who will be playing in the Olympiad for Germany, where I will be the head coach. I'm wondering what I can pluck here. Nothing, unfortunately. But yeah, he won the Challengers group, won some rating, which is nice.
Yeah. And but there is a much more important news, the next line. So maybe we should move on to.
No, I just want to say about Prague
Yeah.
that last week's podcast, I was basically bluffing because I wasn't really following Prague, so I assumed it had finished and wasn't really sure who had won. But that was apparently because the event was not finished. It gives away that I have really not been following Prague. So I mean, congratulations to Harry and Keimer. I will study their wins when I get a chance.
We'll quiz you about their games on the next podcast.
It's like actually, I mean, the funny part that the Challenger was had a much more interesting field than the Masters actually. I mean, to my taste, a lot of young players, Niemann, Abdusattorov, Keimer. I mean, it was mixed field and very interesting.
It's Keimer.
Sorry.
Keimer.
Vincent.
Sorry, I just do this because Laurent loves to correct my French whenever I say one word or one name.
So I saw that on Twitter. Anish Giri lost to a talented Danish superstar rated 2000. It was rapid?
It was rapid.
Ah, fuck.
I honestly have. I mean, I don't get notifications. Well, I don't think I follow Anish, so I only see him.
Hang on, that sounds shady. You don't think you follow Anish? You don't know about if you follow Anish on Twitter?
Yeah, I think at some point I thought it was easier not to. So I don't know, and I don't know which Danish superstar you were talking about.
No, I mean it was a joke, I think.
No, he did lose a game to a 2083 kid in some rapid tournament, which of course his many haters jumped on immediately.
Come on.
Not mentioning that he also beat superstar Luc van Vele in the same tournament.
Oof. Transparency, Peter. So did you block Anish on Twitter, or you just
No, I
unfollow him?
didn't block him, but I have unfollowed him. I think also I have reported him to Twitter. Yes.
Okay. That's very transparent.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Stand by both.
Okay. So it's time for the main dish of our podcast.
Finally.
Oh,
Finally.
I thought, which one? Sorry. Yeah.
I mean, it's campaigning. How is
What is wrong with FIDE this week, Peter? Or did we rename it ever since Peter is now a candidate? What are you going to fix in FIDE this week, Peter? Tell us what's happening.
Well, I mean, there is not that much new that I want to fix since last week. It's more or less the same themes, right? About.
We are recovered that the dress code is way too strict.
No, I think it's just the attention is going there too much in a way. I think there is so many other things that should be fixed first. I mean, well, it becomes like we start to debate something that's just not a problem, in my opinion, and put a lot of focus to that, and it sort of overshadows the real issues, I would say.
What are the real issues?
Well, I mean, we mentioned campaign funding and such the last time, and this is maybe still a problem that I think. I mean, well, if you look at Team Dvorkovich, it's clear that those who is actually on the election ballot is basically not campaigning, while those who are employed by FIDE is doing a lot of campaigning as being visible, and that, of course, is not how it's supposed to be based on the rules. That those who get paid by FIDE has to stay neutral, and if well, the other people on his ticket want to campaign, they are very welcome to do it. But as far as I can see, they don't. Well, that's one thing, but of course, what provokes me to a bigger extent, I mean, is perhaps that Dvorkovich is appearing with the peace message and such, and the Olympic flame and things like that, and sort of connecting himself to and talking about that the Olympic flame symbolizes peace, while, I mean, he was actually in the Russian government at the time when they used the Winter Olympics in 2014 as the sort of run up to, and attacked Ukraine shortly afterwards. That, I think, is for me is too much, no doubt about that. And even in 2022, also you saw the Winter Olympics that basically was said directly that, well, they were basically awaiting that to finish before the full-scale invasion came of Ukraine. So, I mean, for me, it's well, I don't connect Dvorkovich with peace. On the contrary, I connect him with the Russian regime, who is responsible for war.
Jan, go ahead.
Yeah.
Nothing to say. I agree, actually. I agree.
Yeah, I got nothing. No. Go ahead, Laurent.
No, I mean, so what are you doing? I think people are just curious to know how you are running a campaign. I mean, like, you told us.
People want a more positive campaign.
Yeah.
We understand. Less Russian influence, Russian ties to Kremlin.
So when are you coming with your proposals?
We definitely are, but I will stay to it that it's important to understand who it is and what it is we are actually supporting, and their history and where they're coming from. But we can talk about more positive things if you want. That is fair enough. But I think that before Chess World makes this decision, it's reasonable that people don't sort of, well, people are informed. For sure, we are working on proposals and a website and such. There's no doubt, and I know that Andri is in touch with, I mean, people that, in my opinion, will bring a lot of value to the chess world and is coming from outside the chess world and such. So this is definitely work in progress, but obviously we are limited to resources and also have our own sort of non-campaign things to handle. I cannot do that full time. So
yeah, of course. And how many people on the full ticket?
Well, the full ticket by the route is 2, so this is already clear.
Ah.
I mean, if anything, there was this. I mean, you saw that Fumei was complaining that Dvorkovich was announcing 5 people on his team. He
5 people, yeah.
He said that was illegal. I'm not sure that it's illegal to announce any sort of more than two, but two. You have to announce two tickets. I mean, the
And
legal
that's-
requirements is that you renounce a president and a deputy, and that's it. Then the winner of the elections has the right to award 3 extra vice presidents. I mean, these doesn't necessarily have to be nominated in advance. But I mean, well,
Only 3? I think there is 10
yeah,
vice
but
president.
more of them has to be elected by a direct vote now. Sort of. I mean, well, I don't know how much you know about the governing structure of FIDE, but there is this. I think it's called the council, where, well, the actual power is to some extent, where most of them are directly elected, but the president can announce 3 of them.
Okay.
Like this. But no, we are not sort of having names there yet. But well, I think neither has the other teams. If anything, I would say the strange thing with this campaign is the absolute silence. I mean, for instance, you're asking what is our policies and such. I think we are the ones who have put most forward policies. I think others are completely silent on the matter. I mean, you cannot find. Well, I think none of the 4 teams has web pages or anything like that. I think Sharipov and Koyatli has barely
Yeah,
made
of
any
course.
kind of public
But
statement.
But it's clear that Dvorkovic will campaign on what he did the last few years. That's it.
But Peter, in order to win, if you want to win, you need a message. It can't just be that. And I'm not sure what you've put forward on policies. To me, it always sounds like, yeah, we have to get rid of the Russian influence and we want more transparency. Other than that, I'm not aware of a policy.
I mean, the message is that we think that when the chess is free from, let's say, Russian interest, it opens up tremendous...
Please, every time I bring this up,
No,
the
but
answer is
no.
instantly Russian interest and
Yes, but
transparency.
you are not willing to look at what actually happens when this happens. I mean, for instance, it's possible to get many more sponsors and such. I mean, look at the current FIDE candidates. There is no one...
It's always the two same sentences.
No,
it's
they-
always
no.
get rid of Russian interest, then we'll have more sponsors and transparency.
Exactly. No, you're mentioning transparency. I haven't mentioned it today.
Okay.
I mean, no, look...
Just get rid of
for
Russian
instance,
interest and we'll have more sponsors.
Look at the current candidates. There's not that many advertising a product, right? We think that it's...
I give up. I've actually been trying to help.
Yeah, but you are welcome to do that. I mean, I mean, we think it's possible to find much more commercial sponsorship than it is now. Why not? Why isn't chess a great product? I don't get it. Look at, well, you mentioned Nakamura. Maybe he wears jeans, but he has more than 1 million followers and such, right? And the Queen's Gambit boom I can mention as well. I think there is a lot of potential there, and we are trying to find people who we think can give credibility to the idea of commercial sponsorships. There's no doubt about that. We can also talk about, for instance, the geographical placement of tournaments and such. I think that the focus has been heavily European, and now since since it couldn't be Moscow, the Olympiad, India and such, I think it should be more global, no doubt.
Will you announce some names of companies who are willing to support FIDE if you are elected? Or
I think we are working of having reputable people sort of being part of, I mean, in a more advisory role and something like that. So we are not going to come with ready-made contracts in advance. I think no one has done that historically and such now. But of course, we are trying to find people who can sort of make it look realistic. There's no doubt about that.
okay, good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I mean,
So-
we are working on it. But again, you're asking a lot for us compared to what others are doing, is my impression.
No, I think in order to have a realistic chance to win, the message, we need to get rid of Russian influence. That will get you a certain number, especially in Western Europe. But if you don't have other more positive messages, I don't think you have a chance. Which maybe it's fine, and it was still a worthy cause. But yeah,
I don't think that
we
we are
keep
not
having that.
having. We think that. I mean, rearranging the chess world in a way so that they can actually attract commercial sponsorship is a very positive message. I think that it's very positive that we should not just. I mean, you are saying let's judge the current administration on sort of this reign. Well, I can say that during this reign, it has been 11 out of 20 tournaments in Russia. Of course, it should be more global than that. By far the biggest amount of sponsorship, I think, or donations, I think Dvorkovic mentioned 80% at some point, has come from there. I mean, this has to change, and this opens a lot of possibilities. That's how I...
So in general, you wouldn't want the big tournaments like in major European cities, but more spread out
Well, I think
over the world, right?
it's not like it shouldn't be only Europe, but I mean, well, the most obvious example is Africa, for instance, or well, I mean, South America. But it's not a very global sport in that sense. And of course, for instance, if you speak with African delegates and such, one gets the impression of completely different needs than what we are thinking of, let's say, in Europe, for instance. I mean, well, the chess world is large, and it's important to understand these things. And of course, for people like us, who has a very, let's say, European attitude towards, and therefore we see things, we see it in a certain way, and I have cared a lot about elite things. While if you look, for instance, at Africa, of course, they have a completely different problems and attitude and such, and that we will have to try and understand and try and help, no doubt.
All right.
Great.
Do we have anything else?
No.
Are we in the mood to get into body shaming?
Why not? Indeed, yeah. You'll start with mine, or we go for Fress? How do we do it?
Ugh, I'm in
I
bad shape myself.
was white shaming Jan. He didn't
Laurent has
like
been
it.
white shaming me
Yeah,
relentlessly in
yeah,
Thailand,
yeah.
which was very hurtful, very hurtful. Anytime
I was not the
would
only one,
wear-
actually. I was not the only one.
You were clearly the instigator. Anytime I would wear shorts, he would make fun of my very white legs just because I lead a tough life sitting in my basement in northern Germany, never seeing the sun. It was very hurtful.
Some
Hurt my feelings
local
greatly.
people, you remember? Thought it was incredibly funny. Your legs.
I do not recall that.
I recall.
I have gotten a lot of sun recently due to being in Charlotte with the fantastic weather. But 2 weeks of Stavanger and one of Charlotte with sort of common dinners every night, and them being very generous hosts has probably put on a kilo or two, I would argue, say though. So I mean, if we go in that direction. But I think the serious topic about body shaming is that, well, people started making comments about Nepomniatchtchi's weight at the candidates, right? And there is some kind of controversy if it's a reasonable thing to discuss. Yeah, I can see as no one wants to take the word. We're just both looking.
No, I'm happy to weigh in, pun intended.
No.
None taken.
But no, I think in general the thing is it's okay to point out if someone lost weight. It's not okay to point out if someone gained weight, which we could argue if that's not being discriminatory to begin with. But of course it's wrong to comment on other people's physical appearances in public, especially in a way that implies it's negative. What I don't think is wrong is to talk about what's the best shape, also individually, that you could be in for the candidates. And there, of course, we judge on appearances, like if people look skinny or heavier. It's a serious question, which I'm not sure if, for example, Magnus, I would guess, gives it a lot of thought before World Championship match. What is the best shape? Like, because usually people say, okay, you gotta work out, you gotta prepare physically, which I guess is true. But Peter, you're into research and that kind of stuff. Do we have evidence that people do better on a certain weight and a certain fitness level than otherwise?
I don't know if there is sort of serious studies doing that with chess. I remember a quote by Yusupov who was saying that, well, for very long tournaments, you need some kind of thing to sort of, you need to be able to manage this 6-hour game. Your body has to be strong enough of that, which probably meant it needs to have some kind of energy stored, I think being the point. Why I think it's reasonable is that up to the World Championship match, which is only half a year ago, it was noticeable that Nepomniatchtchi chose to, lose a considerable amount of weight, and now he might have gained it again, and it didn't seem to work out that well for him. Well, it could be a lot. There could be a lot of reasons to looking for sort of losing to Magnus, but as we see that he's well prepared and very motivated here, it could look like a conscious choice, maybe that he's trying to find what works for him. I think it's realistic to it's reasonable to discuss these things from an athlete point of view. I think also at some point James Harden in basketball, they were noticing that he's gained some weight, and he seemed to be fine with it and such. I mean, I think we are discussing it in order to see its relevance towards sports performance. It's not just a general thing we're doing to talk. So I think it's, I can understand why people talk about it, I would say, and I don't think it's crossing any particular line.
Yeah, my question was more in a general state, because I've never seen any research, because there is this argument, which might be nonsense. If anybody knows about this, by all means, weigh in, that you need some certain energy reserves to make it through a long chess tournament, which would, I guess, indicate that you want to have a slightly heavier playing weight. And chess, we see a lot of players that are very, very skinny. And I wonder if that's the best shape, like a marathon runner, or if it hurt their chances as well. I'm genuinely curious. Maybe it's also just for the individual, or if you're young, it doesn't matter as much as other stuff. But I don't see it debated much. Even stuff like the evening before, do you eat a lot of carbs so that you have energy stored for the next day? Or what should your ideal diet look like? I'm sure like guys like probably Magnus and Fabi look into these things before World Championship matches. But in general, it's not a big topic in chess, and maybe it should be.
Yeah.
No, I think it matters, and it should be. But the point is that, well, it's still kind of minor, right? I mean, it doesn't. If you are not like 2-8 player level like they are, you cannot just compensate that for eating healthy or something like that. I think it.
I don't know. Maybe you can still be 30 points higher rated.
Yeah,
no?
exactly.
Like,
But what I mean, it might decide some points, and I think it should definitely be taken seriously and such. But I think it makes sense to be in decent shape, but not necessarily to be in excellent shape. If sort of the change from decent to excellent shape takes a tremendous amount of work, then probably it's better to spend that amount of work on chess, right? But I think that even generally, but also in modern times, those playing for World Championship matches or at top level has been in quite good shape and such. I remember before Vichy won the World Championship in 2007, we were training quite hard physically. We were even sort of running up and down of stairs, which might sound unbelievable to you, but that's actually what we were doing to sort of build our physique.
is there a video on it? Like,
No, there is not. And
okay,
I think just to create the image in your mind, that's probably better than how it looked in reality.
I have actually a video of you doing sport.
Yeah, thank you.
Lithuania.
no, that video I've had for years, but being nice to Peter as I am, it's not been leaked yet.
If you have a choice, then rather leak some openings, okay? But coming from me, that's something. But no, I genuinely think that it will be interesting to do some research with this and such.
Yeah,
But I think players mainly try to have their own experiences and such, no doubt.
No, I think
I
mean, for me, it's clear that it's okay to talk about it. Before the match, it was quite a big topic that he lost some weight and so on. So, I mean, like, why not to talk about if he gains?
No, but I think also opponents pays attention to it. I remember in
Yeah, of course.
2008, I came to meet the team, and I said that, some news I have at the train station. I met Kramnik, and he looked actually in great shape. But then I said, well, he was also there with Laurent as his second. So they got sort of all the the news there. So yeah. So no, I mean, I think Kramnik was even being in good shape to some extent to intimidate Vichy. I mean, Vichy was also saying that he tried to look.
No, but he was
confident at the press conference and such. Right?
I can guarantee that he was swimming at least 1 hour per day, every day.
Well, exactly. Kramnik was probably in.
No, he was training.
Really good physical shape. It didn't do him much good, it turned out.
And even in Paris before the match, I mean, we were meeting, and he was like kind of coming back from the swimming pool. Also, I mean, like it was really daily.
Is it also true that not to waste time when he went swimming, he had sort of prepared 4 kind of difficult studies he would solve in his head while swimming, or is that just a legend?
That I don't know, but probably
I read that too.
Probably his computer was running. Few computers were running. Let's face it. It was not only one on some positions. Yeah.
No, but the problem is it's such small sample size, and it's also more or less anecdotal evidence who prepared what and at what weight they were playing and so on. That I guess we don't know, but I'm genuinely curious about it.
Well, I think also eating in a certain way before the game might optimize your chances and such. I just don't know what is correct and such. Should ask Henrik. Maybe.
You have a croissant and pain chocolat and a coffee for breakfast, and then nothing till after the game.
Yeah, that's how it works.
All right, moving on.
Questions?
What do we have? Questions?
Yeah.
How do you prepare for a tournament like the Candidates? Is a question by New Chess 5. Do you target some particular players or go all in? How should your opening repertoire while playing such? How should be your opening repertoire while playing such a strong event? It's a very general question. I think it's a bit of both. No, you try to have a tight or a black repertoire that can hold up against anything that's not prepared for specific players. You make some choices, I'll play these openings. And then with white, where it's not realistic to just play these lines. You can't say, I'll always play this line of the Italian and get an advantage. There you try to target people if you feel there are weaknesses in their black repertoire, like Ali Reza did against Hikaru, for example. And Fabi takes it a step further. He also tries with black to target people and have some very nasty surprises there. But he's, as we mentioned, I think, in the previous episode also, the best in the world, or the best in the tournament, at least, at opening prep. Peter, you're the expert.
Yeah, I don't have that much. I was trying to think back to the candidates. I have probably worked for Magnus in 2013, how we did it, but I think we prepared various openings, various ideas to have some kind of, let's say, ammunition generally. But of course, well, you do care about, well, there's only like 14 different games. It's possible to prepare in advance. One thing that sort of stuck to me was Vichy in 2007. Before the World Championship, but it was an 8-player tournament, so basically the same, right? That at that point we had no idea what to do with white against the Petrov, and I think at some point he just said, okay, it's just going to be 1-2 players who will play the Petrov. Maybe don't waste all our energy being depressed against that, and then we found some good ideas in the Marshall instead, which helped us and such. So candidates tournaments are kind of different in the way that if you spend all the energy in sort of breaking down, let's say, some of Black's negative tries, well, that's necessary in World Championship matches because you play the same opponent who might repeat the same strategy over and over again. But for tournaments, you probably should have a much more positive outlook, I would say, and then just live with the bad times. They're not going to happen so often, and then try to sneak in some good tricks here and there.
Yeah, you need of course a general repertoire because you expect to be surprised actually because you are going to surprise people, but you are most likely going to be surprised as well. So you need a general, at least as black and as white as well. I mean, like you cannot go against. Okay, it's quite Fabi did actually. He didn't know what to do against if Duda plays a knight off, which was not likely, but you may expect a completely different opening from people.
Yeah, and I think also you have to expect that your opponents are going to be incredibly well prepared. I mean, in a tournament, they might stick to what they usually do. For the candidates, everybody's going to show up having put in a serious amount of work and might have either new ideas in old system or just simply have new systems they haven't really played much before and such. So, I think generally you just have to expect that this is going to be on a much higher level than usual.
Yeah, also everybody's different. Like certain people are opening nerds and they have all the basics built. Others, haven't focused on that so much. So I don't think there's one individual answer. Like the preparation will look very different case by case, but it's definitely the tournament after the World Championship match which people take most seriously when it comes to prep.
Yeah. So second question.
What are the other questions? Ask Laurent. Should I read this out? What were the politics of him? The policies.
The policies.
The policies.
Yeah.
Policies is probably meant of him and his team when they ran against Quality. Greater access to more salami, wine, and duck for all French players? ? Lunch and dinners to be extended to minimum 3 and 5 hours respectively. Possible campaign slogan: finer wine and even finer dining, maybe? It might be tongue-in-cheek. I'm not sure where this is coming from.
I would still say that it's true. Laurent has actually been part of a very successful chess political campaign. So maybe I should just shut up and listen to the advice coming now.
Do you think it's funny? Do you think the question is funny or not? I think Jan I can see that Jan thinks it's incredibly funny, like the best joke of.
No, I don't think the question is funny, but I obviously know your reaction to it will be funny. So no, I don't approve of the question, but I'm very curious.
I'm not going to answer.
You're not going to do it,
no,
yeah?
No.
Because I know this is the one spot where Laurent feels very, very offended.
I think at some point, okay, now it's going to be a bit early tale from a training camp, but I think at some point, well, Laurent was mentioning, okay, maybe this kind of French joke is a bit played, and sort of, I think everybody looked at each other, and then they said, no, it's not, and then that was basically it. So, I mean, we like making fun of Laurent. I agree that, this one, I don't know, it's maybe taking a bit too far. But no, I'm actually very curious. Can you tell us, how did you run a successful chess political campaign?
I mean, I was a very small part of the campaign. I mean, I was doing the negative stuff online. I was tweeting. I mean, it reminds maybe of someone else. No, but it was weird because it was very long because of the COVID. So the Quatli kept on postponing the election just to stay president a bit longer. But we had a lot of proposal. I mean, like a nice website with many proposal. But of course, you also have to say what people got during the past term, and you have to make a mix of both. And Basha ended up on 36%, so that was not that was not very great. I will say I will tell it every time. So Quatli, who is now candidate to become a FIDE president, lost the local election in France in 2021. So that was last year, actually. So that was not very impressive, but let's see.
Okay. I don't think anyone answered the actual question, but
No.
no. So the next one. I'd be interested in what teams the candidates have, what approaches, etc. I think he's talking about the candidates for the chess tournament, not the FIDE elections.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to nominate Jan for Chicken of the Week, okay? For the looks on
Fair
his
enough.
face when he's analyzing the Judith and she starts to attack.
We can believe it. We buy it.
No, I'm very offended because the one thing I take pride in is that my facial expression is always the same slightly indifferent, slightly depressed look. So that would be great progress if there was actual human emotion on it, but I don't think I'm there
I
yet.
will compliment you. Either you are doing it perfectly or else the camera has been frozen for the last 3 minutes because you haven't moved one bit.
It's frozen, actually.
No, this is me. It's not frozen. As for the teams, I don't think we know that much. We can speculate, of course. We saw Rapport arrive with Lubojevic. Laurent has a lot of inside information on Team Alireza. He's not sharing with us.
We saw Fabi with Truchelov.
Fabi with Chuchilov, yeah, and I'm assuming
Yeah.
that he still has his usual people in the States helping him remotely. Like, I would guess Ramirez is probably involved. I'm not sure if Dominguez also used to work with Rajabov at some point. I'm not sure which team he's on currently. But yeah, we don't know. People
very
don't
secret,
make it very public. Of course,
Yeah.
you have some ideas and here's some rumors. I think Gajewski is with Duda, for example.
For full
But
transparency,
we don't know that much.
Dominguez also worked with Magnus for the 2013 candidates.
That's very, very helpful. Thanks, Peter.
You're welcome.
It's great you're transparent about things.
How many
9
people?
years ago,
I
that
was
have
not
no
working.
impact on anything.
I was not working in candidates 2013. I started later, but only 3 people, were helping Magnus during the candidates 2013.
I think, well, depends on you count me as help, but I think it was Almasi, Ponomarev, and Dominguez, yes.
Okay. I forgot. Yeah, Almazi, that's true. Okay. So it was already a team of 4 people, for candidate tournaments.
Right. So this was, the usual setup with me being on location and they were helping online. We had a training camp.
So he won. He won the candidates, and they all got fired.
I am not into details, as I have said. I was skipping that match and made a list of several names, including yours. That was possible to work.
Wow, that was amazing.
But no, it's a good point that there's not that many names floating around, which is a bit surprising in a way. Maybe they're helping remotely more these days, and like that they can stay hidden.
So
Makes sense.
Well, no, for instance, Nakamura or Nepomniatchtchi, do we know anything about who helps them? Well, we can, of course, guess.
Well, Nepomniatchtchi, we know his structure now. I would assuming Potkin is in the picture.
I saw Reirolin on some picture and Vityukov.
Yeah, Khairulin. Yeah.
So Reirolin and Vityukov are there.
Leiko, we don't know, but I would guess he's also still involved. At least he's been.
And Nakamura
Not
is this
seen anywhere.
guy who is better than Kasparov. So faster. I mean, same conclusion, but faster. Chris, what's his name again?
Chris Littlejohn.
Littlejohn, yeah. Yeah, so, we don't know. It's very secret, overall. but probably team of two people at the very least for the main contenders. Ding, do we have? I mean, like, he used to have Wei Yi. I think Wei Yi went with him in 2018, but now I'm not sure at all.
Yeah, also it seems very tricky still with the traveling from China, so I would guess it's also remote, but I have no inside information there.
Yeah.
Or outside information.
So, do you have a tale from the tank camp, or we already did that?
I have no tale for today
Wow.
because we still can't speak about the one we don't speak about. We're also at 1:20, so let's just quickly do chickens.
Yeah.
Also, Peter, I think, left the call like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And
Some.
wrap it up. Laurent, who's your chicken of the
My
week?
chicken of the week is listener. Listener Markus Hager, Austrian grandmaster, who impressed.
Oh, greetings.
He impressed me. His way. We told him, if you make a draw as white, we are playing this team with 3 Indian guys, and the French guys were considerably weaker. So we decided to keep it safe on the first board, and he made a draw with Sarin as white in such a professional way. He was banging out all these moves, some random line, he still knew, and then he offered a draw 3 moves before his prep ends. I mean, that was just fantastic prep to make a draw. Really amazing. I mean, so he's really my chicken of the week. How about you?
Big fan. I accept the nomination from Paul Cooksey. It's a big honor. Let's see. Peter, I think he's frozen.
He's frozen.
He doesn't have a
and
chicken
he has
of the
something
week.
to say, but no.
Nah, he's said enough.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. This was this week's episode of the Chicken Chess Club podcast. If you have any question, particularly if they involve humorous puns on Laurent's French nationality, then by all means submit them for next episode. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.